Alright, so let's take two different people for example. The first guy, he trains with quality, going to failure on his top sets whilst minimizing his volume to only 2 sets per exercise. Whilst the second guy, well, he leans more towards the quantity side of things. He trains with half the intensity, hardly ever struggling, except this time he bumps up his volume to 4 sets per exercise, really putting emphasis on the squeeze and pump. In the end, who do you think builds the most muscle? The answer is the first guy. This is because he understands that quality will beat quantity.
Okay, so I'm going to be completely honest here. My training lacked a lot of intensity in the first couple of months of training. And I credit this to 2 main factors. One being the fact that I trained at home, and because of that, I had to make my own equipment. And as you could imagine, you get to a point where you just can't progress past that. And my solution to that was, okay, I can't add any more weight to these bags. I'm just going to add sets. And it got to the point where I remember I was doing like 5 sets, a drop set at the end, which was insane. This coupled with the fact that I also believed that the pump equaled growth, added to the fact that, okay, I'm just gonna add more volume so I can get a better pump. It got to the point where on my arm days, I'd do a bunch of volume and then I'd be so sore that the very next arm day, I couldn't even work out with the same intensity because I was still sore from the arm day I had 3 days ago. Like it would to anyone, it pissed me off. I didn't know why I was always fatigued. I didn't know why I had plateaued in my physique. I wasn't seeing as much progress. So I did some research, which led me to learning about motor unit recruitment, which is when a muscle increases its force output, the closer it's taken to failure by recruiting more muscle fibers. And with this new knowledge, I decided to ditch my old thinking of, the pump equals growth, because it didn't. I'd been doing that for a while. I wasn't seeing progress. And I decided to start tracking my progress and making sure I was getting stronger every 2 to 3 sessions. And I use a really good tracking app. It's called Tracked. I'll put a picture up here. And after that, I broke my plateaus. I started seeing a little bit of progress, which was nice, plus strength gains. All right, so now let's talk about the importance of intensity in training. Now I'm going to cover what intensity is and why it's important for growth. I think most people get this wrong, where I have this common misconception that the intensity of an exercise is measured by how much weight you're moving, which isn't true. It's measured by how close you take a set to failure, to the point where you can't do one more rep with good form. For example, you could be in the gym as a beginner, right? And maybe you're only able to curl the 20-pound dumbbells for 5 reps, right? And on the 6th rep, you're really struggling to get it up. And you get to the point where you can't get another rep. You can't get that 6th rep after grinding out the rep for 5 or 6 seconds. That would have been a high intensity set, a set taken to failure.
Failure has been achieved, thank God.
All right, so why is progressive overload and intensity so important? Think of it like this, right? Muscle growth is literally just the body's adaptation. Let's say you can only curl 30 pounds for 6 reps this session. The next session you come back and you can do that same weight for 8 reps now. That progression was adaptation. Your body added on more muscle so that you'd be able to curl that weight for even more reps. It's so important to make sure that as you progress, right, as you keep getting stronger and building more muscle, you add on weight or reps to make sure you can match that progression and keep on progressing. You don't want to get to a point where you're now able to curl those 30-pound dumbbells for 15 reps and you just stay at 30 pounds. Because if you do that, you're going to plateau inevitably because you aren't continuously stimulating your muscle, because you've reached a point where now 30 pounds is your new baseline, and to go anywhere above that, you're going to need to up that weight. Now we get into what I like to call the most important part of this all, which is the mindset that you enter your sets with. Because in my opinion, mindset is so crucial, bro. I'm talking about mindset right before a set, what you're thinking of before that set. Because that can be the make or break of whether you progress or you stay the same as you were last session. You need to be holding that weight, thinking that I have to do better than I did last session. Maybe you did 6 reps last session. This session, I need to get at least 7. You need to have that mentality, and you need to prep yourself. Get yourself as focused as you possibly can with whichever method you need to, whether it be pre-workout, before, or listening to music, whatever it is. Make sure you have a method that you use to get yourself in the right mentality, in the right mind space to progress. You're on that 7th rep, about to break your last session PR, which was 6 reps. It's simply the thought that I have to I have to break my record from last session. It's that mentality. Keeping that in mind, that's all you should be thinking of. I have to achieve more than I did last session. And that's what pushes you through. That's what separates those who make progress from those who don't. They have the mentality that they have to shatter their old baseline. Prioritize being in the right mind space before a set, because it is the make or break, like I said before.
And now let's go over some things that we covered in the video just to make sure you leave with some new knowledge, hopefully.
Subscribe for more.